Hi ladies, today's video is Mum's the word, Cassie. First of all, we're going to take a look at what that expression means. Before I do that, this may be a triggering video for some. We are speaking about sensitive topics, and just in general, my channel is not for children. So if you have little ones, just be aware. So why did I call today's video Mum's the word, Cassie? Let's take a look at what that means. Mum's the word is an idiom meaning to keep silent or quiet about something, especially a secret. The word mum itself in this context suggests a humming sound with a closed mouth, representing an inability or unwillingness to speak. The phrase is an instruction to not reveal information. And before we get into the video, I want to read an image, an Instagram post that I saw online, and I was thinking, yes, I agree with this so much. And the reason why I'm speaking on this video is because obviously we see what's been going on in the news with the Diddy case and Cassandra Fine coming forward. I think that's her full government. Cassandra Fine coming forward and talking about her experience as well. What I do appreciate with her from what I've seen is that she's taken accountability for her own actions, but also sharing her story. It's a cautionary tale, it's a warning to others. So, let's listen to this post. All right. Cassie was 19. 19. Stop acting like that man didn't groom her. She was a child and he was a grown ass man. He knew what he was doing, and by the time she caught on, his plan had already worked. So please stop with the why didn't she leave or say something if it was so bad. She was a kid who was groomed, drugged, and psychologically manipulated. You'll be having all the answers, but don't be making no sense. Why people say she should have just left. 1, to witness someone with money or in proximity to money be abused means that money and fame actually doesn't save you. And a lot of people without it hope that it will save them. So it's hard to accept that it won't. 2, saying what they would have done in a situation makes them feel powerful and in control. 3, we've been taught to blame women for their own abuse. These same women who are defending these abusers are the same women who told the little girls in their families to stop being fast when they wore shorts, rather than telling grown men to keep their hands and eyes to themselves. Or 2 was the little girl who wasn't protected by other women, victim blamed, and made responsible for the behavior of their abuser. She did not tell one lie, in my opinion. She said it very well. So I just said, let me just repost and give credit to Dr. Ebony. So, yeah. So that is how I feel about this situation, to be fair. And we're just going to take a look at 3 points that I've made on this situation. Now, the why don't you just leave? Now, I would be a liar if I sat here and said I've never thought, why don't or why didn't she just leave regarding women in abusive relationships. But this is the thing that changed my mind. I remember speaking to a loved one who was in an abusive relationship in the past, and I asked her why she stayed for longer than she would have liked. She explained to me that it didn't start as physical, it started emotionally and verbally. So that is the thing. That's something that helped to change my thought process towards this whole thing, because it's very easy. When you're young, you think, if any man hits me, I'm going to box them down. It's very easy to think, oh, yeah, this is what I would do. But if someone is already putting you down, criticizing you, putting you down, telling you you're worthless, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, it starts in the mind. So the person's already been beating you up with their tongue. They've already been beating you up emotionally, mentally, spiritually, everything. So by the time that person punches you in the face, you already feel like you deserve it. Or maybe, like, oh, yeah, that's what I should get. Or, oh, maybe if I didn't talk to him like this, or if I just did this perfect, he wouldn't have hit me, because they've already been putting your mind in that place. So by the time they hit you, like, what's the big deal? So I know, like, as well, when we see people who we know and you think, oh man, this person's in such a dead relationship, man, why don't they just leave? We also say it because we're concerned sometimes like, sis, man, just get out of this relationship, is dead. But it's not so easy to just leave an abusive relationship. And we have to remember, and this is a thing that I think a lot of people have to eat humble pie. It's very easy to look at an abusive relationship and say, why didn't this person leave? But let's be honest here. I've spoken about boundaries on this channel. A lot of us do not have boundaries. A lot of us have not even set boundaries with our boss, with our mum, with our dad, siblings, whoever. You don't know how to tell people no. You're always available. You're always showing up, even when you feel resentful, even when you don't want to. Your boss talks to you like trash. This person in your life talks down to you, and you take it. You take it. You don't say anything. You have no boundaries, but you're quick to say that she should just leave, where your life is full of no boundaries. Do you see how we have to eat humble pie sometimes? Do you see how sometimes we kind of have to like, because we would do the same thing, because our life is already showing us that when people test our boundaries, we say nothing. We bite our tongue because we want to be nice and we want to be such a good person and a people pleaser. So, okay, I'll do this, even though I don't really want to do it. Oh, I won't actually say that offended me because, like, I don't want to let you know that offended me because I should just be a nice person. So do you see, it's really easy to talk when you're not in that situation. And that's where I've had to humble myself. Like, Charlotte, unless you've walked certain things through certain things that people have been through, you can't really talk on it. Just observe and learn and see. And I think what it is as well, a lot of people like me, we want to be more emotionally intelligent. We want to be self-aware. We want to be accountable, right? And we want to learn about life and other people's stories. So sometimes we can forget that not everyone's doing that. So we get shocked when people say certain things, but we have to remember, right, that not everyone is doing the soul searching, the inner work. Not everyone is looking into the mirror and seeing their own flaws. So all we can do is project and judge and condemn and say, well, this is what I would do, because you have no accountability, you have no self-awareness. So that's something to consider, and something that I just want to add here. Actually, no, I'll get into it later on. All right, so money doesn't fix everything. This is number two, the second point. Money doesn't fix everything. Another thing that I have seen people say is, well, she got money. Why doesn't she just move on? And I understand where people are coming from when they say this. And you might think, what? Hear me out. When you are not where you want to be in life, you've mismanaged your money, or you're going through hard times financially, money becomes everything. Money is the solution to all your problems. But then we look on the other side and people say more money, more problems. Do you know why? What you don't heal, excess amounts of money will reveal. And this is the thing, as I said, when you're in lack, you think, oh, if I just have money, man, if I just had 20 million, oh, that would be the answer to all my problems. But as I've mentioned before, something that I heard, oh, sorry if you can hear, my husband's out there cutting grass. Something that I've heard Nick Cannon say before is the money gives you the access to excess. When P. Diddy got the first, when he was Puff Daddy at the time, I'm sure when he got his first million in the account, people don't get $1 million and decide, do you know what? I want to spread a man's semen all over my body. Yeah, that is what I'll do. And I'll have an orgy. Now that I'm a millionaire, I'll try an orgy. No, these things were already inside of you. It's just now you have the access. Now you have the control. Now you have the power to access all those things that you would have done before. So this is where, again, people need to be humble and recognize that money doesn't fix everything. What we need is money management and character development. That is what we need before we get more money. Because if we don't have money management, you'll be a millionaire living paycheck to paycheck. And if you don't have the character development, if you don't have the spirit of Yah in you, these are the proclivities and all the things that start to come out of you, because it's like, oh, let me try that. You're in different circles. Oh, let me try this. Oh, I like this. Of course you like it. You're carnal, you're perverse, you have a bent towards perversion. So not everyone starts off like, oh yeah, oh, threesome. Oh, I like that. No, someone exposes you, or you get exposed and you realize, oh, okay, now that I've done that, let me try this. Let me try. It grows and grows and grows. Lust is only going to grow if you don't control it. And this is how people find themselves in these situations. So where some people are saying, oh, but she liked it. Yeah, I'm sure maybe at first, maybe something she did like. That's her business. But at the end of the day, if someone's saying no, if they're letting you know, I no longer like this is making me feel uncomfortable, that's where it starts to, do you see what I'm saying? That's where it's wrong now. If it's consenting adults can do what consenting adults want to do, taking my biblical framework out of it and being objective. If you're a consenting adult and you are in your right mind and you decide that you want to do some mad freaky stuff, that is on you. But if someone's saying, no, I don't want this, I'm uncomfortable, you have to stop. This is something that I tell the girls. When someone says stop, you need to stop. When someone says no, you need to hear that person saying no. With each other, encourage your children, have your boundaries. If you say no, you have to respect the no. You have to respect when someone says stop, I'm uncomfortable. All right. Now, the third thing here is reasons why people don't speak out. If you haven't already, please check out my video, 3 reasons why people do not speak out. Because as we can see, the name calling and your character being questioned, some of the things that people are saying about her, I'm like, wow. And when you think of it, to be fair, from my understanding, I don't think that she has to actually testify because she's already been paid. I think she's been paid altogether 30 million. She doesn't actually have to testify, but what she's doing is very brave because it's bringing awareness to this situation, and she's been humiliated. So yeah, let him go through a humiliation. Let people see what I had to go through, because everyone's chatting and running their mouth, but they don't know what was going on behind the scenes. And before I close, I just want to say this. I'm 34, so as I mentioned before, I'm a younger millennial, but I came up in a time where you see the early 2000s, or even no, the early 90s. Like, I would have remembered the early 90s, but the early 2000s, as someone who loved my R&B and yeah, still listen to R&B and hip hop. Obviously, you're just a bit more mindful of who you listen to as you get older, and as you are trying to live a more spiritual life, you have to consider, like, is this the best thing for me to listen to or watch or whatever. Anyway, but if you were coming up in that time, unless you were coming up in that time, you're not into hip hop, you're probably not going to understand the sway, the influence that Puff Daddy, Diddy, Brother Love, all of his names or whatever has. Do you understand? You wouldn't understand the power that he had, the access. Remember, nowadays I can make my YouTube channel. I don't have to go through any gatekeeper. I can just upload a video. If it takes off, it takes off. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But that's my business. Nobody's stopping me. Earlier on in the industry, you had to go through people. So if someone had power, then you'll be thinking like, wow, okay, first you're in awe of this person, then you get around them. And as I said, a lot of people, when they're being groomed, when they're being abused, it doesn't always start off at first. People don't just, oh, I'm just going to box you in the face. It's after a while of, oh, how far can I go with this person? How much can I do with them? And once that person realizes, oh, I can talk any type of way to you. Oh, I shoved her, she didn't do anything. It's a shove, it's a punch, it's a kick, and then they're beating you up like what he did in the hotel. Do you understand? So things go progressively, they take time. So Puff Daddy, Diddy, he had a lot of influence. Remember, he has a lot of hits, Bad Boy, under Bad Boy. And we all knew from back in the day, we had heard about how he treated his artists. I've even said before, oh, he has a great work ethic. But now that I look at it, I'm like, ooh, you know what I mean? But his artists, as someone who saw episodes of Making the Band and stuff like that, how he spoke to them, listen, it made for great TV. When we were teenagers, when we were young, this made for great TV. But as you get old, you realize, wow, like, he was getting away with a lot. And when you think of it, as that famous saying goes, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. So if he keeps on saying, oh, I'm a bad boy for life, if you keep on chanting that down, if you keep on speaking that over yourself, that you're a bad boy, you're going to act like a bad boy, isn't it? So we should have believed him. Did it really take for us to see a video in the hotel? Were we shocked? When we saw that? Were we like, I can't believe it? Like, to be fair, a celebrity that I would say that I would be shocked to see is like a Morris Chestnut, because when you look at him and his wife, how they present themselves, they don't put all their business out there. Every time they come together, like, you see them in an interview or anything, they seem like a loving, stable couple. That's just what we see on the outside. If I were to see a video like that, then I would be taken aback, because I'm like, wow, he doesn't put himself out there like a bad boy or whatever. But with Diddy, he was talking down to people in public. So if people do that in public, how do you think they talk to the person at home? I'm sure in your experience, you've seen relationships where a husband or a wife, they talk to them like trash in public, or they talk down to them, they put them down. What do you think is going on at home if they feel that comfortable to do that? So this is someone who was like first verbally abusing her and then all of that. And also, she was 19 when they met. When she was 19, he was 17 years her senior. And your frontal lobe, by the way, I found out a few years ago, where you make your decisions, it's not fully developed until you're like 25, 28. So do you see, like, if someone's 17 years your senior, they have money, power, and influence. Of course, they can manipulate you. Of course, there is a power imbalance in that dynamic between a 19-year-old and someone 17 years your senior and more experienced in the industry. And think of how many people saw how he spoke to her. And think of how many people saw that he beat her. And look, when people feel confident to say something now, after all these years, now that it's out there, now they don't feel as scared to say something. All these people, men and women. So what does that say to you when people are saying, why didn't she leave? Even grown men were scared of him. Do you understand? So what do you think? How do you think a 19-year-old is going to feel who's living with him, who's going through the abuse? So when we're saying certain things, it's not just about Cassie and Diddy, but this speaks to a wider issue of a lack of compassion sometimes that we have for people in abusive situations, where we just overlook it, or we say, oh, that's just how so-and-so is. That's just how so-and-so is. No, like, this person's going through verbal abuse or emotional abuse, financial. Someone needs to report it. It needs to be made aware. I know sometimes it's very difficult because people go back to the person. You feel like, well, I don't want to do all of this. And then they go back to the person. But as we can see, it's not so easy for people to leave. But let's hope and pray that when we see a crime being committed, that we will do the right thing, because Yah does not want us to be cowards, and he doesn't want us to be fearful. The only person we should revere and fear is Yah, Yahusha, his son, our beautiful Messiah, our Savior. Fear those people, yeah? And let me end on this verse. But the fearful, in some versions it says cowardly. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars. Do you see that? So do you see how sometimes we can feel nice because, oh, look what she did. She was having orgies. She was letting them pee in her mouth. I would never do that. But you're fearful though. You're a coward. What does it say? Oh, look. Oh, wow. Look at the Bible. It put all us fearful people right up there with the abominable and the murderers and the whoremongers and the sorcerers and the idolaters and the liars. They shall have their part in the lake. What lake? The Lake District? They shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Revelation 21 verse 8. Now, there are a lot of verses in the Bible that refer to death as sleep. So if this is saying second death, that means you're dead. You're dead. So do you see how in life sometimes we feel cute, we feel nice, we feel pious because we haven't done certain things that other people have done. But then when it comes to the Bible, it's all have sinned. Your righteousness is as filthy rags. It's just that level playing field. You mean what? You can be cowardly, you can be fearful, and you're right up there with the murderers and the whoremongers? So yeah. That's what I appreciate about the Bible. Still, sometimes when you're smelling yourself, you just have to read 2 Bible verses and just humble yourself and say, do you know what, Yahusha, thank you for your blood, because without you, I am nothing. A lot of us need to be humble. It's just because your business isn't out there. To my Bible believers, remember, a lot of you had a life before you were living this life. And it's not to say, oh, you haven't been set free. That's a beautiful thing. But have some compassion. Have some compassion when you look back, because it's just that people don't know what you did or what you would have done if you had more time to be out in those streets. You were outside too. Certain things that you did. So let's show compassion. Let's learn more about abuse. Let's learn more. Why don't people leave? Let us learn the dynamics, the psychology behind it, so that we can show compassion and stop saying these things like, there's too many books. There's the Bible, there's too many books, there's too much internet, there's too much access to travel for us to still be ignorant in certain areas. All right, thank you for watching, ladies, and while you are here, please remember to like and subscribe, and remember, please leave comments as well. I would love to see the engagement, love to hear your thoughts, any video topics you have, and your feedback on the video as well. What did you agree with? What did you not agree with? And what is a point that I haven't considered as well? All right then, ladies, hope you have a lovely day ahead. Bye.